In the 1970s, societal norms and regulations were vastly different from today. Many activities that were once commonplace have since been banned due to safety concerns and changing cultural values. This article explores some of the most notable things from the 1970s that are no longer acceptable in our modern world. Once celebrated as a food industry miracle, trans fats were everywhere. From golden fries to store-bought cookies, flaky pastries to microwave popcorn. In the 1970s, they were the go-to ingredient for manufacturers looking to boost shelf life, lower costs, and enhance texture. But behind the crispy perfection was a hidden threat. As scientific research unfolded, the truth emerged. Trans fats weren't just unhealthy. They were deadly. Linked to heart disease, strokes, inflammation, and diabetes, these artificial fats quietly fueled a public health crisis. Activists, doctors, and nutritionists raised the alarm. And slowly, the world listened. Bans were enacted, food labeling, laws were rewritten, and trans fats were officially cast out from ingredient lists across the globe. Today, we look back at this once ordinary food additive, not with nostalgia, but as a cautionary tale. Just because something is convenient doesn't mean it's safe. The rise and fall of trans fats is a reminder that science, awareness, and activism can change what ends up on our plates and save lives in the process. There was a time when television reflected more than entertainment. It mirrored society's blind spots. One stark example: the black and white minstrel show, a long-running program that, despite its popularity, trafficked in racial caricatures that would be unimaginable on modern screens. Running from the late 1950s into the 1970s, the show featured performers in blackface, dancing and singing in a stylized portrayal of minstrel traditions, a format rooted in mocking and misrepresenting black culture. At the time, audiences embraced it. Critics rarely questioned it, and for decades it aired as if nothing were wrong. But looking back, it's a jarring reminder of how normalized racism was in mainstream media and how far we've come in recognizing the damage such portrayals can cause. Today, we see this not just as outdated entertainment, but as a lesson. A cultural artifact that urges us to confront the past honestly and to never stop pushing for more accurate, respectful, and inclusive representation, because media matters, and what once passed for entertainment now serves as a reminder. We must always ask who gets to tell the story and how. There was a time, not so long ago, when playing on train tracks was just another summer adventure. In the 1970s and even well into the 90s, kids were often left to explore the world on their own. Tracks became balance beams, gravel became playgrounds, and danger, often invisible. But what seemed like innocent fun came with tragic consequences. Fatal accidents, avoidable, heartbreaking, forced a reckoning. Today, walking or playing on train tracks is illegal, and for good reason. Railways are not just dangerous zones, they're active, unpredictable systems, and no photo, thrill, or shortcut is worth the risk. This shift in attitude marks a larger evolution in how society views child safety, supervision, and responsibility. Looking back, it's a haunting reminder. What was once normal doesn't always mean it was safe, and sometimes growing up means recognizing that freedom should never come at the cost of a child's life. In the 1970s, toy guns were as common as bicycles and comic books. Kids roamed the streets playing cops and robbers, clutching plastic revolvers and replica rifles, many so realistic they could be mistaken for the real thing. But what once symbolized innocent imagination slowly revealed a much darker reality. Tragic incidents, fueled by the confusion between toy and weapon, forced society to take a hard look. In a world grappling with rising gun violence, the line between pretend and peril became too thin to ignore. Manufacturers responded. Bright colors replaced black paint, Orange tips were mandated, and many toy companies stopped making realistic firearms altogether. Today, a child holding a lifelike toy gun is no longer seen as harmless, but potentially in danger. And the evolution of how we view these toys tells a larger story, one of shifting values, heightened awareness, and the urgent need to protect lives even during play, because sometimes the cost of nostalgia is simply too high. There was a time when seat belts were an afterthought, or worse, seen as optional. In the 1970s, many cars didn't even come equipped with them, and even when they did, wearing one was more a suggestion than a rule. Parents held children in their laps. Drivers lit cigarettes instead of buckling up, and public service announcements begging people to click it were still years away. The shift didn't happen overnight. It took tragic statistics, countless studies, and persistent advocacy. But slowly, society woke up to a simple truth. Seatbelts save lives. Today, what was once shrugged off is now law. Click it or ticket, front seat, back seat. It's non-negotiable. This evolution in car safety isn't just about regulation. It's about how we value life and how far we've come in understanding that freedom behind the wheel should never come at the cost of someone's future. The seatbelt, once optional, now essential. In the classrooms of the 1970s, discipline looked very different. A wooden ruler, a leather strap, or even a cane weren't just symbols of authority. They were tools used daily to maintain order. Corporal punishment wasn't just accepted. It was expected. A swat on the hand, a slap across the knuckles. For generations, physical discipline was seen as a rite of passage, a way to build character and respect. But behind the strict order was a silent cost. As our understanding of child psychology evolved, so did our questions. Did pain teach lessons, or just fear? Was compliance worth the emotional scars left behind? Slowly, the tide turned. Parents spoke up, educators reconsidered, and lawmakers began to ban corporal punishment across schools, replacing it with approaches centered on empathy, guidance, and positive reinforcement. Today, what was once common is now controversial, and in most places, illegal. The story of corporal punishment is more than history. It's a testament to how societies grow and how every generation must ask, are we disciplining to teach or to control? In the 1970s, behavior that today would be clearly labeled as harassment was often brushed off as just being friendly, or worse, part of the job. Unwanted comments, inappropriate touches, and suggestive jokes were normalized in workplaces, schools, and public spaces. This was a time when boundaries were routinely crossed, and those affected were often silenced or dismissed. But society began to listen. Voices that had long been ignored found platforms. The law caught up with the lived reality, and a cultural shift began, one rooted in dignity, respect, and consent. Today, casual harassment is no longer casual. It's a red flag, a violation, a relic of a mindset we're working hard to leave behind. Clear policies, awareness campaigns, and a collective commitment to equity are changing the way we interact, because creating safe, respectful environments isn't about being politically correct. It's about finally doing what's right. There was a time, not so long ago, when a child's world extended far beyond the front yard. In the 1970s, unsupervised play wasn't just common, it was the norm. Children roamed the sidewalks, climbed trees, built forts, and played ball in the streets. There were no smartphones tracking their every move, no helicopter parents calling them in every hour. The rule was simple: be home by the time the streetlights came on. This freedom taught resilience, independence, and problem-solving. Kids learned how to navigate the world, sometimes the hard way, without constant adult intervention. Today, the landscape has changed. Safety concerns, digital distractions, and shifting parental norms have pulled children indoors and under closer watch. Streets once filled with games and laughter now sit quiet, but the memory of that freedom still lingers, a reminder of what was lost, and perhaps what we should consider regaining. Because sometimes the best lessons in life come not from being watched, but from being free to explore. Once upon a time, a trip to the corner store could mean more than just candy or comic books. In the 1970s, it wasn't uncommon for kids to walk into a shop, hand over a few coins, and walk out with a pack of cigarettes for their parents. There were no raised eyebrows, no age checks, no legal hurdles. It was a casual chore, like picking up milk or bread. Back then, the long-term dangers of smoking weren't as widely understood. Cigarettes were seen as a personal choice, not a public health crisis. And the idea of shielding children from tobacco, practically unheard of. Today, of course, that world is gone. Strict laws, heavy regulations, and growing health awareness have redefined how society views smoking, especially around children. This moment in history serves as a stark reminder of how quickly cultural norms can shift and how much our understanding of health and safety has evolved in just a few decades. In the 1970s, cracking open a bottle and drinking it straight down wasn't just common, it was celebrated. At parties, on the beach, in backyards, heavy drinking was simply part of the culture. The dangers, often shrugged off. Hangovers were punchlines, not warning signs. Public campaigns on responsible drinking were rare, and health risks like liver damage, addiction, and long-term illness were barely part of the conversation. It wasn't just adults. Either teens and even younger drinkers were often exposed to this behavior as a social norm. Fast forward to today, and we've come a long way. Public awareness, health campaigns, and educational efforts have shifted the narrative. We now know that drinking in excess isn't harmless fun. It's a serious health risk. What once passed for harmless entertainment now serves as a cautionary tale, a symbol of how far we've come in our understanding of wellness and moderation.